Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela. So I've been hemming and hawing over doing this video for a while now because it's Dani from Dani Mystic's My Classic Decks. I recently did my staple decks, which is basically decks that everybody seems to either have or has had in the past. The My Classics deck that she did, she kind of took it to another level because it's basically your personal decks that are your ride or dies. You can't live without. You read with them. You can't part with them ever. And I did a similar video to this like a year ago. Actually, it was like March 21st when I did it. It was like my top 5 favorite Oracle and my top 5 favorite Tarot. So I'm kind of redoing that video and doing her classics at the same time, if that makes sense. But I have 5 Tarot and 5 Oracle decks that there's no way I could ever part from them. There's no way I could ever be without them. In some way, shape, or form, they've either changed my practice, helped my practice, or moved it along. And changed my way of thinking on how things are. And so they're very special to me. And before I continue to babble, let's get on with it. So here we are. I'm doing my hashtag My Classics, which was originally by Dani Mystic, which I will leave in the down below. I'll leave the link to that. So this first 5 should be no-brainer because they're my first 5 tarot decks, and they're the first 5 that will forever be, I think, in my top 5. And to start with, we have my favorite deck. This is the Mass Market Lightseers Tarot by Chris Ann, published by Hay House. I was not in tarot or anything spiritual when the Kickstarter hit, so I missed out on that. So bummed on that. I did edge it in this like darker teal blue to match the books and a lot of the cards inside. This deck is essentially me. And I love the cardstock on this. It is essentially me. It is modern. It is beautiful. It is that best friend that no matter how bad you've messed up, this friend will give you the truth, but they do it in such a gentle way that this is why they're your best friend. Because you can tell them anything, you can have conversations about anything, and they're not judging. They're there to be just your shoulder when you need it. They're there to give you advice when you need it. That's what this deck is for me. It's so much more than a best friend. And it's gorgeous. I love the colors in it. And it's funny because she's got 2 other tarot decks now. I have no interest in them. None. This one is just, it can never be replaced. And I've thought about getting a copy of this just because I've used this so much when the pandemic first hit. And I was furloughed. I had no direction, no nothing. And I use this deck every day. It was my constant companion. This is the one deck, if I had to give up all my decks, this would be the one I would keep. So yeah, that is the Lightseers Tarot. So deck 2, and I keep it in this little bag I made for it. No surprise at all. Should be the Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh Tarot by Anatorian. She did the artwork, and oh my god, I forgot her name. Hold on a second. Sorry, I had a weird moment. So it's here's the book. This is by Evelyn Cameron, and then the illustration by Anatorian, and the book is phenomenal. They are complete power couple to me, or power duo when it comes to this tarot deck. It is worn on the edges. It was in a beautiful red gilding, but it's really worn because I've used this deck a lot. It's kind of got a bow going. But again, the artwork is phenomenal. It's that deck that I've always said, ever since I've gotten this deck, it's more like, it's almost the exact same energy. Look at that moon. I mean, come on. It's almost the exact same energy as my Lightseers, just slightly different. Which is why I can never part with this deck either. Like, it's, again, that friend that I need. And this one actually goes a little, to me, I feel a little deeper, just because I've done mediumship readings with this deck, which I don't do with my Lightseers. The Lightseers, I would say, I mean, none of my decks, I would say, is just for me. But if I had to pick, it would be the Lightseers. It would be just for me, and this one would be for others as well. This deck is stunning. I mean, the artwork is just glorious. The cardstock is my favorite cardstock ever. It's fantastic. It is an indie deck. It is no longer in print. I apologize. Look at that headdress. I mean, come on. And the moon in the background, just fantastic. But yeah, this is the Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh Tarot. My second favorite. If I could only ever have 2 decks, look at that death card. It would be this on my Lightseers, which I've said so many times. But yeah, that's gorgeous, and I'm so glad I was able to get this when I got it. So that is the Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh Tarot by Avalon Cameron and artwork by Anatorian. Okay, deck 3. Chiara Marchetti, Encore Tarot. I've seen other decks of his. This was my ungettable get, this deck. It looks like it's frayed, but it's not. I can't explain it. It's not nearly as bad as the other. But this doesn't, like right there, it's perfect. But, and there, it's a little frayed on the sides, but it's held together quite nicely. It just looks a lot worse on camera than it actually is. It's weird. But these are the backs. It's a little bit bigger than your traditional tarot size. But this deck, it's again another one I used, I think, during the height of the pandemic. It's also the deck that I never thought I would get, and I wound up getting it. It's almost like I manifested this deck, because when I first saw it, it was no longer available. He wasn't doing another run, and then suddenly a few months later, he was doing another run, and I was like, I could just buy it if I want now. And I did, and it came, and it's beautiful. I have a bunch of Chiara Marchetti decks now, but this is my ride or die of his decks. This is the deck I always turn to of his. I don't even mind the borders that I have on here. The majors are gray bordered. The coins or pentacles are green. The swords are blue. The wands are red. And then the cups are this goldish brown color. And I'm wondering if I already passed the moon card, because that's main reason I bought this deck. And then I'm like, there's so many. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful, this deck. These are my top 3 decks. If I can only ever have 3 decks, it would be these Lightseers, the Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh Tarot, and this deck. It just, even though it was my ungettable get. There she is. Look at her. I just dumped all the cards on the floor. That is a gorgeous, my favorite moon card ever. It's just glorious, and I love it. Love it so hard. But that is the Chiara Marchetti's Encore Tarot with red gilding. And I have quite a few of his decks now. Between him and Anatorian, I've grown quite the collection. So, for deck 4, we've got the Journey of the Sacred Bee. This is a deck that surprised me. It said, get me, buy me. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. And then it wore me down, and I bought it. And it's got the same cardstock as the Bone, Stone, and Earth Flesh Tarot. I don't know what it is. It's also an indie deck. The Encore Tarot is also an indie deck. I'm starting to see a theme here. It's got this glorious teal gilding. I do have the Oracle deck as well. It is not in this list because I haven't worked with it that much. But I got this in January of 2021. And it's just blew me away. After it stalked me forever, and it finally wore me down, and I bought it. I was just blown away. The artwork is stunning. The cardstock is stunning. The gilding is stunning. It's like a teacher. It's like this deck is the Hierophant. He's here to teach you, and what he's going to teach you, if you pay attention, is going to blow your mind. I love that it's got symbols down here for the astrological symbols and stuff. It's got keywords on the minors. His deck is gorgeous, 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 and I love it to pieces. I've done a lot of shadow work with this as well. Deck, it's gorgeous. Yeah. So that is the Journey of the Sacred Bee Glorious deck. So we're down to the last one on the tarot. And of course we got the Stretch Tarot by J.E. Stretch. It's also an independent deck. They reside in the UK. So that's where you can get this deck. And I don't know why they just popped out like that. Got the card here. I folded it in half because it kept falling out. Where you can get this deck. This is the second edition. The only thing that's changed is the box, the tuck box. It's a very sturdy tuck box. I did edge it in this like navy blue to match the backs. I do past life work with this deck. It's a thicker cardstock, so it's hard to riffle shuffle. I can't riffle shuffle with it. But this deck is the exception to that rule. If I have a deck, I can only riffle shuffle it. The minors have keywords, which are amazing. Yeah, this is the exception to my riffle shuffle rule, this deck. It is gorgeous. It reads fantastic. It's a workhorse deck for me. It does regular readings fantastic. It does past life. It does mediumship readings. I haven't done any kind of shadow work with it, but I guarantee you it would do shadow work fantastically as well. It really digs deep and dives down deep into things, and I love it. If I do any kind of past life work, this is the deck I reach for. I do have a couple other past life geared toward tarot decks now, but this is still the one I reach for every time. Usually I use the other ones as kind of a secondary if I want clarification on something, but this is the one I go to. This is, yeah, it's fantastic, and I love it. 2 pieces, fantastic. So now we're on to the Oracle decks. I'm going to go with my very first Oracle deck ever. The Earth Magic Oracle Cards by Stephen D. Farmer, published by Hay House. I still use this deck to this day. I've only been doing tarot and all this since 2019. There's the backs. It's got glossy cardstock. This is the reason I bought this deck, because I'm in love with dragonflies. They are my spirit animal. This deck is beautiful. It literally is the deck that opened up my intuition. And was like, oh wow, like I could see things going on behind the scenes of this deck. But it's also the deck that was so simple and so gentle that it was like, you can do this, you can do this, you got this. And I did have it. And I read with just this deck for a bunch of family members when I first started reading cards. I bought a tarot deck, which I never resonated with, and then this was the very next thing I bought, and I used it all the time. And it is gorgeous, it is beautiful, it is never leaving my collection. It is awesome. If I want something sweet and simple, this is the deck I'm going to use. And it's great for beginners, because I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know there was such a thing as Oracle cards when I bought this. Okay. Next on the list, Sacred Destiny by Denise Lynn. This deck is powerful. It is gorgeous. The cardstock is beautiful. It is published by Hay House. It's a nice matte. It is stunning. Stunning, stunning, stunning deck. I have no words. It's just beautiful. I haven't used it in a minute just because I've gotten so many other Oracle decks in. But I used this for the better part of 2020, 2021. For about a year in between those 2 years. Just a gorgeous deck. Reminds me so much of places I've been. With the background, I love the colors in it. It's very bright and beautiful. And I love it. Love it. Look at that. Look at him. Flexibility. Staying still. That's gorgeous. Look at that. The waves hitting the rocks. Just gorgeous. This one, it's truth. It gives me chills every time I see that. I don't know why. Look at that. It's like where I went to see my daughter in Utah. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Yeah, this is the Sacred Destiny Oracle by Denise Lynn. Beautiful. 3 decks left. Third Oracle deck I ever bought was the Sacred Rebels Oracle, published by, it's upside down, Blue Angel. It is by Alana Fairchild. I saw someone doing on YouTube, the backs, and they're typical Oracle size. They're glossy. I have heard that there's now a matte version of this. Can't find it anywhere, so if you guys know, let me know. Because I would love to have this in a matte version and borderless. I saw somebody doing a pick a card reading on YouTube. I picked a card. Look at that. Come to life. She's painting herself to life. That's just stunning. Saw the pick a card reading, and it was at a time where I was just like, I'm done with this writing. I'm done. I waited too late. I can't be a writer in my 40s. Like, that's crazy. And this is the card I picked. And without even reading it, I just saw the purple and the butterflies and picked it. And I started bawling because it says the word wants to be written. I'm like, what? Yeah, it was just crazy. I'm like, I need this deck in my life. And ever since I've gotten this deck, almost every time I use it, I cry. It's one of those that digs deep and cuts through the bull and cuts through the layers and gets to the heart of the matter and just lets you know, hey, I know. I'm here for you. And that's what makes this deck special and will never, ever, ever be parted from me. And it's probably one of the few Oracle decks that I would probably not use with anybody else. Because it's so emotional for me, this deck. But that is one of my classics. Will never leave me, ever. That's about Alana Fairchild, the Sacred Rebels Oracle. Love it. 2 pieces. So we're down to the last 2. Which one should I pick? You don't know what this one is. This is the Oracle of Echoes, the 2nd edition by, oh my god, Anatorian. Gorgeous deck, gorgeous cards. This is where I fell in love with her work. Her artwork is just stunning, and it does something and stirs some deep-seated part of me that comes to life with her artwork, and I love it. I love it. Love it so hard. So you will always, usually I have one or both editions in my purse, carrying it around with me. This deck is always used. Always. Always being used. You may not see it on my channel very often, and this is the first card I pulled when I got this deck, and I'm like, seriously? Crazy. Let go. And I was getting that message every time I pulled a card from anything. I was getting that. And then this was the first card. But just stunning. Stunning. Stunning artwork. Stunning. And I love it. 2 pieces. This Oracle deck will never leave me either. Like, none of these decks I'm showing you will ever leave my collection. Last but not least, we have Mildred Payne Secret Pocket Oracle. This is the bigger version. I have the pocket size by Patrick Valencia. This is both of these are indie decks. This deck I use for medium Mystic reads. It was a happy accident that happened, and now I can't see myself using it any other way, honestly. But this is it's dark, it's twisty, but it's simple at the same time. It cuts through the bull crap, and it's simple, sweet, like simple things that you wouldn't think would get hits on, but it's amazing for medium Mystic reads. It actually, when I pull a card, usually it will trigger my clairvoyance or claircognizant abilities, and they all start working together, and it's an amazing thing to see. It's crazy, but yeah, this deck is amazing. It's never leaving me. But yeah, that is all my decks. I'm almost out of time here, so I'll just let you guys know that's all my classics. Those are the decks that will never part from me. If you probably, more than often than not, these will be the decks that you will see me doing readings on camera or pulling a card from something. These are the decks that I will be using for the most part. Yeah, that's my hashtag to Dani Mystic. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos. And you all have a good night. Bye.